Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. We have Ilan Danieli, who's CEO of Precipio, on the line, and this episode is part of our DealFlow Discovery Conference series, where we bring you the best of those who attend and are heading to the conference this upcoming January 28th through 29th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I've been to this conference multiple times. It's going to be at the Borgata. It's a beautiful venue. You can grab tickets at DealFlowDiscovery.com, and we'd love to see you there. Again, the DealFlow Discovery Conference, DealFlowDiscovery.com. First things first, Ilan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Good to be here.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about today. Definitely want to get into what you're doing over at Precipio and also talk about the conference a bit. So first thing first, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Ilan, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Ilan, what mission matters to you?
Thanks, Adam. Precipio was founded to battle the problem of misdiagnosis in cancer. This is a pretty significant problem that most of the industry doesn't talk about. There are quite a few weaknesses in the diagnostic world, and that impacts patients' lives. And we started a company and built it in order to make a positive impact and really help patients through what might be the biggest battle of their life, is battling cancer.
I love bringing in mission-based individuals on the line and share, how they do, what they do, and really how we can all learn from that so that we grow together. I definitely want to get into how you got involved with Precipio and like where this idea even came from, like in this connection. But before we get into that, I want to get a little bit further into your background. So how'd you get into business? Like, did you know you were going to kind of go this route, or where did it start for you?
No, not at all. Following my MBA program, I joined a company in the entrepreneurial area. I started a company in the mobile technology field. I then worked in finance for about 7 years at a hedge fund in New York, and then did some consulting work. And one of my clients was a pathology lab. I'd never been in the healthcare business before, knew nothing about it. But in that engagement, I met two guys who are my partners in crime, and three of us left to build Precipio. This is something we care deeply about, and we wanted to build something together. So I found myself at the helm of building a company in the cancer diagnostic space.
What was that like in the early days? I kind of wanna stay in the early days a little bit longer. Like, you have these jobs. I'm guessing your partners also had probably like corporate jobs, possibly, I don't know. And then you go off and you're starting a company. Like, what was that like?
Routinely, folks in my position get asked, what are the ingredients for a successful company or to be a successful entrepreneur? And there's always, you need to have a good team and a good idea and a good business plan and investors and all that stuff. And what I typically like to add is a pretty significant dose of insanity. You got to be crazy to want to leave a comfortable corporate job and jump off the abyss into this venture. And I think that very much reflects what we did. It was a really long and steep climb to get to where we are today. And the climb isn't over by any means. But I think that the energy that you get from the team that you have and from the mission and what you accomplish kind of keeps you going. That's the gas in the tank that keeps you going. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Yeah. Okay, so take me back to like the seed of the idea for Precipio. Where'd that come from?
Well, we had experienced and visualized the problem of misdiagnosis in blood-related cancer. So let's take a step back a little bit and describe the problem that was kind of the reason for the birth of the company.
Yeah.
One of the things that's unique about cancer is it's the only field where the diagnosing physician and the treating physician are two different people. Go to any doctor if you've got a cold, they'll look down your throat and measure your temperature and stuff like that and say, okay, this is what you have. And now this is how we're going to treat you. So the diagnosing and treating physician are the same. In cancer, it's different. The treating physician is an oncologist, and the diagnosing physician is a pathologist. And what we recognized was that in our field of blood-related cancer, there's a huge shortage in the expertise needed to diagnose blood-related cancers. Now, couple that with the other fact, which is that blood-related cancers are very, very complicated, and there's a huge number of subclassifications. So as an example, breast cancer or lung cancer, there's probably about a dozen different types of cancer. And so the pathologist has to identify which disease the patient has. With blood-related cancers, take lymphoma, for example, there's over 100 subclassifications of blood-related cancer. In total, in blood-related cancers, there's about 350 subclassifications. So it's a really complicated field, along with the problem of a shortage of expertise. And that's the problem we wanted to fix.
So you addressed this problem, and now how did you think, or when did you think that you're like, we can make a difference in this space? Here's the problem, like we can come up with a solution to that. Because I feel like a lot of times, we may see as entrepreneurs and otherwise, we'll see something and be like, this should be better. But for you to make the commitment to say you're going to go correct that or contribute to that, is special. Like how'd that piece come up?
Well, I think fortunately my partners had a lot of industry experience, and we did a lot of research to identify the core problems and then decide them. So we talked before about the lack of expertise. One of the first things we did was to harness academic institutions to bring in their expertise. So our company is based in New Haven. That's not by mistake. It's because our first partner was Yale School of Medicine, which happens to be the oldest school of medicine in the country. And what we realized was that in academia, the work setting and work environment enables pathologists to become subspecialized experts. So if you're a professor of pathology at Yale or other schools of medicine, you can decide, I want to specialize in T-cell lymphomas. That's what I'm going to do for my entire career. I'm going to study, I'm going to publish, I'm going to write grants, I'm going to teach that in medical school. This is what my lab is going to do. This is my expertise. And you develop a deep level of knowledge. Whereas in any other commercial environment, you can't really do that. If you're a pathologist working at LabCorp, you handle the cases put in front of you. That's it. You don't get to pick and choose which area you specialize in. So there's a high degree of expertise concentrated in academic institutions, but that's not really available to anyone except for the patients that are treated in that academic institution. And so what we did was we partnered with Yale, and then we added Harvard and University of Pennsylvania to put together a platform that brings that expertise to patients anywhere around the country. And so that's kind of the heart of our business model, is to really bring that expertise and create a workflow where the oncologist can still get the service they need and the results they need to treat the patient. But now, an oncologist in Oklahoma is tapping into an expert pathologist in Boston.
Now, so I'm guessing that, and correct me if I'm off, but I'm guessing that this is maybe one of the differentiators between you and other people in your space, or like kind of go over like what other people are doing as well, or if it's what the competitive advantage is here.
No, it is. So that's one of the key differentiators, is really to understand the nature and differences and the complexity of blood-related cancers and assign the best expertise. And expertise starts with the pathology, but it doesn't end there. There's a whole bunch of steps that happen in the workflow of when the biopsy arrives to the lab and how it's treated, how it's triaged, how it's reviewed, the sequence of tests that are done. All these things play into how the patient biopsy is treated, with the goal of getting the right answer. And I think that's the heart of it. One of the things we noticed in our industry is all these big labs are focused on one thing only, which is the speed of results. I get that, we all have in our lives, friends and family of patients that have been told they have cancer. Now they're waiting for diagnosis, treatment, and you want treatment right away. You don't want this thing growing in you. But you have to ask yourself the question, if there's such a level of mistakes, what is the point of getting a result quickly if it's the wrong result? And that's really the balance that we've struck within our company philosophy.
Dang, that's powerful, Ilan. I got to stop you for a second on that one. What's the benefit of getting the result quickly if it's the wrong result? Ow. It's powerful. Go ahead, please.
And if you think about it, because of what we talked about before, the distinction between the treating oncologist and the diagnosing pathologist, the oncologist is really dependent on what pathology tells them, right? If you get a report, number one, you don't know if it's right or wrong. This is the expert I got for the lab. And even if they questioned it, for the oncologist to say, I don't buy what's in this report, I'm going to treat the way I think, that's never going to happen. There's huge
that can't happen. There has to be some safeguard.
Right, exactly. So there's a huge dependence and reliance on our industry to get it.
Mm,
And I think, part of our mission of our company is that that's the most important thing, is to get it right.
mm. Let's talk about patient outcomes here, because that's the ultimate goal with doing something like this, is getting the diagnosis right so that those that need to be treated, can be like, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's numerous stories that we have throughout the existence of our company of patients that have been, on treatment,
Hmm.
hasn't been working. The doctor says, well, or the patient says, maybe let's get a second opinion.
Mm,
And they find us and they come to us and we look at it, it's like, no, there's a bunch of tests that we're missing and the diagnosis is wrong. I mean, we had actually, there's a good story. A childhood friend of mine called me up a couple of years ago. And, I could hear in his voice, it was not good news. That Ilan,
yeah.
I just got diagnosed with cancer and what are they going to be doing? This is the treatment. And I said, okay, no, all right, well, we're going to help you through this and I'm here to support you. And I asked him to send over the pathology report and the workup of what they did. And so he sent it over and our team looked at it and they said, wait a second, there's a bunch of markers here that weren't tested and we couldn't figure out why. And so we asked for the biopsy and long story short, we found results in those markers that completely changed the treatment course.
Wow.
His initial treatment was considered a low-grade, non-aggressive type of cancer, and the approach was sort of a combination of mild treatment and wait and see, let's see what happens. And we said, hell no, based on these markers, you need to get treatment right away and a pretty aggressive treatment. And, fast forward to the end, a year later, he called me up with the best news possible, which is he's just been told he's in remission. And that's, I was, tears gushing down. I mean, help a friend like that, it's very emotional. But these things happen every day. And that's a real impact on patients.
And I think that's worth exploring further, especially for somebody that hasn't been through this. So just to make sure I understand it correctly. So essentially, based on maybe for whatever reason, some of the markers were not read right, or they weren't tested, or whatever. For whatever those reasons are, the understanding of the person looking at the data was that this is going to be mild. We'll see. But based on going a level deeper in your understanding and going through Precipio, they now know, hey, no, actually, this isn't like some benign or non-growing. So if he had not come to you and if he had not done that other layer with Precipio, then all that would have happened is it would have grown, or it possibly would have grown aggressively. And then as they were waiting to see, it was spreading. And that maybe they would have caught it later, but later means more spreaded, right? Like, so that's the key here. Am I off on anything?
No, you're 100% right. The holy grail of cancer is early detection. The earlier you identify it, the more treatment options there are, the less it spread and damage other organs and metastasize. We have the stages, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being very localized, 4 being spread throughout the body. And that's hugely significant to the treatment options that are available. And, with Andrew's case, had they waited 6 months, it could have been the worst outcome that we can imagine in this case, where, it's spread aggressively. And at that point, you can hit the patient with aggressive treatment, but it's very likely it could be too late. So,
wow, what an amazing story. Wow. That blows my mind. So you're a publicly traded company, right? And your stocks had some movement this year. Talk to me about that bit. Talk to me a little bit about that. I know you're helping patients. Now talk to me about the money, Ilan.
We've had quite a ride. We went through a couple of pivots in our business plan. We realized that some of the processes and technologies that we developed in our lab, as we talked about before, to improve patient outcomes, could actually be put into products that we sell to other labs. And so our product was born about 5 years ago. You may recall 5 years ago, the whole world was upside down by this pesky virus that drove the world bananas. And so I don't think in human history we could have picked a worse time to try to sell products to labs. As Churchill says, if you're going through hell, keep going. And so we kept going. And managed to climb out and get to a point where we actually, last quarter, we reached positive cash flow and positive EBITDA, which for a company.
Man, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. That's a big deal. Celebrate that. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
No, we certainly did. And especially for a company our size, I don't think there's any other companies in our size that are that can boast that. And so, we started to really deliver good financial results. That was the first thing. The second thing that happened this year is we decided to start to speak to the public. Up until the end of 2024, we were in stealth mode, really just focusing on the business, not attending any conferences, just like this one that we're talking about, or
Yeah.
If you would have called and said, "Hey, I'm calling on, from this institutional investor, I'd like to speak with management for half," we would have politely declined and said, "We're not really speaking to the market right now."
Yeah.
And that's because we wanted to wait till we had a couple of good, 2-3 quarters of good earnings and good results that we really, boast about and show. And so, starting at the beginning of the year, we started to speak to the public and be more outgoing. And I think word is beginning to get around.
Talk to me about the we're recording this, by the way, as the end of 2025 approaches, a couple days before Christmas and heading into the new year. I know in January you're going to be at the DealFlow Discovery Conference, and everybody grab tickets and go hang out with Ilan and go talk to him about Precipio, of course. But what's next for you? What's next for you? What's next for the company? Talk to me about the expansion. Like, what's next?
Yeah, I think our goal is to really grow both sides of the business, but primarily the product side of the business, so we can have more impact on patients. What we've realized is these products, these assays that we've developed, can really make the difference in patients, just like the story we talked about before.
Yeah.
And so it's not enough just to run it in our lab. Our goal is for other labs to also have access to this technology and really enable to help their patients as well. I think we're going to see a lot of domestic expansion in the U.S. We're going to see some expansion into markets outside of the U.S. We already have customers overseas, and I think that's going to grow as well. And, just excited to see this business grow and impact and really achieve, make a dent in this problem called misdiagnosis. I think in the 21st century, it's ridiculous to think that patients who have cancer don't get an answer and are put on the wrong treatment. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah. It's great. I love what you guys are doing over at Precipio. And Ilan, I got to go off topic just slightly here. I've been staring at, for everybody that's driving in their car and you can't see, you're not watching the video, you're listening to the audio. I'm staring at Ilan and he has this beautiful picture in the back of him and it has like these beautiful horses. What's with the horses, Ilan? I knew this wasn't an equestrian interview from the beginning. I know about Precipio. I've been following it, but what's with the horses? It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. So this is not an image downloaded or AI generated. These are our horses in our farm. Basically, 3 years ago, our daughter left for college, so we became empty nesters. And I guess my wife and I decided to have a midlife crisis together. And so we up and bought a horse ranch. Our horses are all rescue horses, so we don't buy them. My wife is a psychotherapist, and she treats patients, adults and children through equine therapy. It's a magical experience. And I'm just a farmer. I just do the work. I get up every morning and clean 2 wheelbarrows of a horse shit, and I couldn't be happier. So for me, it's a wonderful work for the soul.
Oh man, I love it. That's great. And I love horses. So I'm so happy to hear that you're a horse person. I feel like for everybody that's listening that isn't one, it's okay. You don't have to be one. But I just feel like horse people are special, especially those that rescue as well. Like just different hearts. Like horses are amazing, and they're just a very spiritual animal to me. So I'm happy to hear that. And I know I liked you, but I like even more now.
Likewise.
Ilan, how do people follow up and how do they learn more about Precipio? Whether they want to follow your journey, you as an entrepreneur, or the company, or the stock price, anything else? Like, how do people connect?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. If they can go to our website on the investor section and sign up to receive our newsletters and quarterly results and press releases like that. Always interact with us with investors@precipiodx.com. Follow us on your usual social media, Facebook, Twitter. I think that's where we are present. And of course, come meet us in person at the DealFlow conference in January in Atlantic City.
Yeah. Fantastic. And speaking of the DealFlow conference, I'll just let everybody know one last time. DealFlow Discovery Conference, January 28th and 29th in Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Borgata. You will not want to miss this. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue, and the conference is awesome. Like, obviously, you'll get to meet Ilan, all the other great representatives of companies there. You can grab tickets at DealFlowDiscovery.com, and I believe they still even have some space for some more companies to be featured. So if you got a company and you want to get that in front of a big investor audience, definitely head on out there. And Ilan, again, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.